In recent years, we've come to eat and appreciate fruit at almost every meal. But nowadays, we have to rely on fruit of our own growings or from our neighbours and friends or surplus purchased from the market stall. Now, fruit is much better to be eaten uncooked, but those tartar fruits, they need a little gentle stewing just to take away some of the acidity in them. A good old-fashioned tip that does appear to work is that if you pop a piece of dry bread or some stale cake crumbs in with the stewed fruit, it will take away their tartness and is especially good for those lovely summer puddings on those hot days which are about to come. When using those tart fruits in stews and pies, it's well to remember that you can reduce the amount of sugar used by up to a third with the use of bicarbonate of soda, adding that to the fruit. Now, if you're stewing the fruit, add the bicarb at the end when the fruit's cooked and do stir it in gently to avoid it frothing. If you're using the fruit in a pie, pop it in, the bicarb, in with the fruit in the pie before it's cooked. Now, as a general rule, aim to use half a teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda per pound of fruit if you're cooking raspberries, red currants, rhubarb or plums. Now, if it's gooseberries or black currants you're using, make sure you use 1 level teaspoon per pound of those. Today I'm going to show you a recipe that uses up any of your stale bread and will be very suitable for your children. First of all, I'm cutting half a pound of stale bread into quite thickish slices. I'm now going to spread each of these pieces with some jam. I'm using up the last of my quince jam, as I think this is going to go really nicely with the rhubarb that goes with this. So spread the jam, put it on a plate, put it aside until we're ready to use it. There, that's the last piece covered with a nice layer of quince jam put to the side. I'm now going to take 6 sticks of rhubarb and cut them into about 1 inch sized pieces. Now, when I've finished cutting this rhubarb, I'm going to gently stew it in a pan with about half a breakfast cup full of cold water. So there's the rhubarb stewed until just under tender. I'm now going to drain the juice off the fruit. So carefully strain the fruit . And keep the juice warm if possible. In a lightly greased pie dish, spread half of the rhubarb over the base and then cover with half of the slices of the stale bread, spread with jam, upside down over the top of the rhubarb. We're then going to complete this once more with the rest of the rhubarb spread on top of the bread, and again the last pieces of the stale bread over the top of the pie dish. Now we're going to bring back the hot liquid from the stewed rhubarb, pour this over the prepared dish and allow it to soak in for half an hour. Now that's rested for half an hour, we're going to make a thin custard to go on the top. If your custard powder isn't already sweetened, then add a little sugar to it. I'm using a dessert spoon of custard powder and I'm going to pop in just under a dessert spoon of sugar. Of course, if you haven't got custard powder, do have a look at my recipe for potato flour. You can make your own custard with some potato flour and some dried egg. Now, when you've mixed your sugar and custard powder, just add a little milk to it. Now, this isn't just milk, it's milk and water. I've done about half and half. Of course, this is when you could use your household milk as well. Now I'm going to pop the rest of that milk into a saucepan and heat it up, ready to bring back and mix with the custard powder and sugar. When heated, pour the hot milk and water on top of the custard powder mixed with a little milk and water and some sugar. Now I'm not going to put this back on the fire to thicken. I'm going to use this uncooked custard to pour over the top of the rhubarb and bread and jam mixture. Pop in the oven, a moderate oven, for just 20 minutes. A delicious rhubarb and custard bread pudding. What a bowl full of goodness. Using up that glut of rhubarb and no sugar to stew it, just the sweetness of the jam and the sweetness of the custard is all it needs. Now this is as delicious for us adults. If you serve it cold, it's very similar to a summer pudding, a lovely dessert chilled on a hot summer's day. And if you like a more crunchy type pudding, then pop a few bits of your precious margarine ration, just a couple of dabs, on the top of the top layer of bread before you put it in the oven. You can always pop it under the grill for the last couple of minutes too, to give you a really crisp topping. But of course it's really designed as a soft, delicious dessert for your children. Your little ones will love it at their nursery table.